I'm Josh. I have Usher's, which is a combination of retinitis pigmentosus and hearing loss. And this is...
I'm Pat. I have genetic optic atrophy. I have vision of 2400. The simple term of saying that is what you see in 400 feet, I see in 20 feet. It's sunny out today. Both Josh and I, with our visual impairment, have sunglasses on because the brightness, the sun, has a tendency to hurt our eyes. It's that way with many people that are visually impaired. So we just wanted to remind you, for viewers that haven't seen or talked to us before, about our eye disease. What we're really here to talk about today is employment of the blind. We want to talk about discrimination, which is rampant in America, whether you believe it or not. It's very true in all of the disabilities, but over and above in the visual impairment and blind disabilities, meaning legally blind and above. We find statistics on the internet of anywhere between 70 and 90% of people who are legally blind or blind are unemployed or underemployed. There's multiple reasons for that. And Josh, what do you think, at the top, what do you think some of the reasons are why so many people like us are unemployed?
Well, number one is discrimination in education. So a lot of people don't understand what blindness is, so they just think it means black. It means that you can't see or you can't do anything, and that is far from the truth. Very far from the truth. I am a motorcycle mechanic at home, and I just recently applied for a job at a shop that I wanted to work at, and I was, I would say, not so gracefully declined the job because of my vision. And it was very frustrating because I am very capable of being a motorcycle mechanic, and I'm unable to be one because of my vision.
The other thing, both Josh and I live in the country now. I've actually done well with employment most of my life. I'm 30 years older than Josh. I've owned an auto rental business, a home repair business. I've done a whole bunch of different things. I did a lot of it illegally, meaning I was driving legally blind on a driver's license.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, when I quit driving 6 years ago was when life really changed for me. I went through a divorce 2 years ago. It even changed more. And the problem is transportation. I've lived in the country. Josh lives in the country. And transportation is a gigantic problem. You'll say, well, why? Take a bus. Josh, how easy it is to take a bus, and how would you afford? Can you afford to take a bus? Can you afford to live in town? How do you do that? Tell our viewers that.
So, well, the nearest bus stop would require me to plan out an expedition.
That's an understatement.
Requiring a tent, water, and food for at least a good portion, maybe a 3-day trip. We're being realistic here.
Right.
Maybe a 3-day trip to the bus stop if I wanted to walk there.
So, Josh, why don't you just move into town, rent an apartment? We're here in Colorado. It's a beautiful place. We have cities everywhere. Josh, just get off your lazy butt, move into town, and go to work.
Well, there's a problem with that. I would love to move into town, but there's this thing they check your income. And I don't make enough income off my disability to actually get me into town. And then I don't have access to get to a job here in the country, so I don't have a source of income to increase. So I'm stuck at my $1,000 a month, and that's not enough to prove that I can pay for a place to live to actually continue my life in the city, where I need to be.
The problem for both Josh and I, and many, many visually impaired people. Now, we know there's visually impaired people and blind people out there with jobs, and we know there's visually impaired and blind people that are going to say, you whiners, get off your butts. To those, I would say, I have run a bulldozer, a crane, I have run an excavator, I have driven trucks, trailers, I've ridden motorcycles, UTVs, I've ridden snowmobiles, I've run very, very high dollar businesses, I've bought and sold cars, all blind. It's not that I'm not capable, it's that situations occur in life, as Josh said, $1,000 a month. A 1-bedroom apartment here in Colorado, $1,200. To share a room, $600. Minimum. What happens, and what Josh and I, right, what Josh and I have as a frustration is, and I would say this to you, Josh. So, Josh, you've had this experience. It's like Josh goes and he's looked for a place to rent. He goes and rents a place. Now he needs to make sure he's close enough to a bus stop and hope that he can find a job close enough to that place that he's not riding on a bus for an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Josh and I are also aware that, okay, we don't own a car. We'd love to, but well, I guess I could own a car and then sit in it and pretend I'm driving. No point in that. We're aware, in fact, I've looked at the statistic, the average person, and I think it's in Colorado, but let's be broad and go in America, spends $1,300 a month on transportation. Now, that means a person has to make $1,300 a month more to pay for their transportation. So you would say, well, Josh, that's a lot of damn bus money. That's a lot of damn Lyft money or whatever it might be, Uber or Lyft. The problem becomes, Josh, you make $1,000 a month. I make $1,000 a month in disability. What happens and how much money does the government allow you to make, and what happens to you if you make too much money when you go and get a job?
I'm allowed to make $1,900 or else I lose my disability.
And the big part of losing the disability for us, which is $1,000, is the loss of the medical insurance. I don't want to be on the disability. Josh doesn't want to be on the disability. We're grateful we have a penance amount of money. And many taxpayers will say, oh, well, there's more out there. There's not. It's not true. It does not exist. The other part of that is that people will say, well, Josh, go get government housing. How many year wait is it for you to get a house?
There is a minimum of 3-year wait list.
3 years. So that we want to say, we're not really whining. We're trying to educate and get people to understand the difficulties of being visually impaired, the difficulties of overcoming. And Josh and I are working on ideas to overcome. Josh and I believe the best way for us to overcome this problem is self-employment, where we can work at home or have somebody working and helping us, which I've had up until my divorce. I've had my entire life. I had people, well, most of the time had somebody helping me, and that's a whole long, complicated story. In an up-and-coming video, Josh, what are we going to tell our viewers about?
We're going to talk about what we can do as blind people and some other jobs that we're more than capable of doing and providing benefit to a company or something, but yet there's an issue. There's a really big issue that we want to talk to you about, and that is insurance. So when it comes to insurance, I would have to say that is the single largest discriminator in America. They get like this free card to discriminate. They get a free card to discriminate against the blind.
The other thing about, and this is the way I explain it to people on the job hunt. Do I rent a place and hope I can find a job around there, or do I find a job and hope I can find a place to rent? So in our next video, we're going to talk about the type of jobs Josh wants and could do, the type of jobs I've done, and the struggle in literally how you find a job, what you do, etc. Josh, you got anything else you want to talk about?
I just want to thank you guys for watching our video. Comment, subscribe, do what you want, but let us know what you think, and if you have any suggestions or solutions or maybe a job for us, let us know.
I'm Pat. Like,
Josh.
share, subscribe. Thank you.
Have a good one.